Could I use your audio board?
What are you going to do?
There's nothing anyone can do now.
Don't be such a pessimist.
The men are doing their best.
I wouldn't like to think that that was true.
I don't understand. Why would anybody want to blow up?
Pull to open.
Pull to open.
Yes, and what do you do?
Time, Sonny, time.
Roaming the spaceways, jumping each other's claims.
Like a whole floating fun palace up here.
But I can assure you it's thoroughly functional. Here we go.
Here come the drums!
Yar! Ha ha ha! Yo ho ho! And a bottle of rum. Welcome, ye scurvy earth dogs, to Pull to Open, an ongoing, rambling, and very piratical quest through all of the show called Doctor Who in random order. My name is First Mate Chris Taylor.
And I'm your lawman, Pete Paschal. Hey, Chris and we are actually a couple of journalists who really just enjoy talking about Doctor Who. And honestly, I was thinking about this. If you think about the way we do it randomly from story to story. It's a bit like putting kind of like an explosive in the middle of Doctor Who. Yeah. And then setting it off and then basically attaching rockets to every episode. And then we just sort of catch up with them later, you know?
Yeah. They sort of get sent spinning off in many directions, like key to time segments. Which reminds me, hey Pete, why don't I update people on where we've been previously? Previously on Pull to Open, on our random journey. Well, we should first of all mention that we do have a pirate curse on us. Sorry. That's kind of an ongoing thing. Look into past episodes. I believe the Armageddon Factor will tell you what exactly went on there. But suffice to say, we once ignored the randomizer's piratical wishes. And that led to many, many pirate stories, many more than we might otherwise have done. However, here we are. More recently, we haven't been to any pirate stories in a while. 3 stories ago, we were in the Highlands of Scotland with the Doctor describing himself as Jamie McCrimmon. And there was a royal family member, and there was a hirsute gentleman, and that was Tooth and Claw in the David Tennant era.
And if you think about it, there was some hijacking of a manor. There was some grabbing of people and treasure and potentially the whole British Empire. So, there was some plunder potentially there in that one. So,
Yep, some plunder. Perhaps the most infamous plunder in all of history, the Koh-i-Noor, was in there. And then 2 stories ago, we rocketed back in Doctor Who time, but forward in future history time to an episode featuring one Jamie McCrimmon in the Ice Warriors in a future climate-changed Earth where we used up all the carbon dioxide. What fools we were.
And again, I think the Ice Warriors at one point wanted to get like some fuel from the Earth base, right? So they were going to grab some stuff that didn't belong to them. They were paying for it.
That was a little piratical.
A little bit. I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah, Ice Warriors, as pirates, call us RTD. Anyway, from there, we rocketed into a different segment of a spaceship exploding and rocketing through the cosmos in different segments, where we did do a segment of the Key to Time in The Power of Kroll. Yes, that's right, a Robert Holmes written episode that unleashed Kroll mania upon a waiting public. Who knew that we wanted that kaiju all over our mugs, our t-shirts? Who knew it'd be bigger than Star Wars in 1978?
Well, it kind of was, because it was one of the most highly rated Doctor Who episodes ever, and I believe also calamari sales in the UK skyrocket after that episode. So,
yeah, calamari, that Christmas, calamari and jelly babies. It was a very interesting combination, and that was on every table.
But fish fingers and custard, I guess.
And do you know what we did, Pete? We all over our advertisements and our newsletter and everything else that you can get with Pull to Open. Go check it out, pulltoopen.net. where we said this was like Robert Holmes' worst story ever because he said that it was his worst story ever. Just, a little foreshadowing there. And then what happened? What did we ask the randomizer for, Pete, at the end of that last episode when we had our chance to make our prayers to the randomizer?
I asked for something with no screaming in it. But you had a different request. You had a quality request.
Yeah. I asked for a Viscount banger. I asked for one of the best.
Which is, Chris? What is a Viscount banger?
It is. It's one of the best of all Doctor Who shows. I was foolish enough to think, based on past performance, that Randomizer would dare honor such a thing. And in fact, it decided to mess with us. It decided to say, "Oh, you think that Robert Holmes thought that was his worst script? So you think that's his worst script? So no, I'm gonna send you back somewhere piratical. I'm gonna send you back." And also, we know the randomizer likes to be a completist, so it sends us back to season 6 of the original show, one Patrick Troughton's last season, with one Jamie McCrimmon. And we have done the Seeds of Death, we have done the War Games, but there were 6 episodes in between. And I've never been less grateful for the fact that there were 6 episodes between them. It sent us to season 6, serial 6, The Space Pirates.
I thought you were going to say the 6 space pirates.
I wish that it'd been the 6 space pirates. At least then, there might have been a space pirate in every episode.
Right, yeah. So, yes, this is the Space Pirates. It's famously missing. It's a missing episode, except for episode 2. So out of 6, there's only one that exists. And it's a challenging one to watch. To find it, so because the second episode you can get in various places. It was released on DVD some time ago. There's a Lost in Time set, and there was also it's on iPlayer. So if you live in the UK, you can check it out.
Can you believe, speaking of the UK and the BBC, why the BBC actually preserved this when they were in their, barbaric era of wiping Doctor Who stories? Why did they preserve it? Too?
Tell me.
Because this was their episode that they chose as an example of Doctor Who in 1969. Think of it. You could have had the War Games to represent that. You could have had almost anything else in season 6 would better represent in our minds now Doctor Who in 1969. But they chose episode 2 of The Space Pirates. And
I heard, I'm not sure if they decided this at the outset to do it this way, but because of that's why it was filmed in film. This was a filmed episode as opposed to videotape. There was no video sequences, so in other words, it was easier to preserve. So I don't know if it was like chicken or egg here. They decided to save this episode, so they filmed it in film, or it was filmed in film and then they decided to preserve it.
I think there may have also been some pressure from Big Spacecraft Model. Which is to say that the BBC had set up a special unit to show spacecraft in this year of the moon landing, and that was hugely popular and stuffed with resources. This was the BBC's own Apollo program, so I'm sure that they had to get their tentacles in.
Well, we're going to get into more and more of the behind the scenes. We're going to talk a little bit more about how we watch this, given that it's missing, but I hear something coming up very quickly, warping into orbit.
Uh-oh.
And I think it is our next segment, which is the Whomoji Challenge.
No, the space clowns.
Well, that's right. We are here at the show, part of the show where I get to fire emojis at Chris like they're missiles coming from a fighter jet pilot thing in space, and he has to grab them, assemble them together, and identify which Doctor Who story they represent.
All right,
that's
just gotta be sure that the magnetic poles match up. So
right, yeah.
I love
Big
that
danger.
Like 3 people in the audience who've already seen the Space Pirates are like, "Hey, I got that reference." Anyway, please continue.
I will continue, and you have a very lucky emoji here. It has 11 emojis.
Really?
Yeah, there is, and I don't want to spoil it. I think as much as there's a lot here, there's going to be a lot to work with, and I've got some confidence in you on this one.
Okay. I hope it's not misplaced, sir.
All right, well, we'll find out. I got to get through these emojis quick because there's a whole 11 of them, so I'm going to just start. I'm just going to go into it. First one is a woman. Second one is a bow and arrow. The third one is the verses.
Okay.
And then the next one is elderly man, white hair, mustache. And the next one is a gun. I think it is not, even though it's a squirt gun, I think it's supposed to be an actual firearm.
Gun.
And then there is a versus.
Okay.
And then there is a robot face.
Uh-huh.
And then there is a flying saucer. And then there is a arrow pointing to the right. And then we're by the way, we're at emoji 10 now. So the 10th emoji is a meteor. And the 11th and final emoji is the Statue of Liberty. I'm going to throw all these in the chat.
God.
If I can find the chat. There it is.
So it's not The Angels Take Manhattan.
It's not The Angels Take Manhattan.
And it's not The Chase, because I know we've already done that.
It is not The Chase, no.
All right, so I'm actually going to have to get my thinking things on. The woman in the bow and arrow is really throwing me. I'm like, when was Katniss Everdeen ever in Doctor Who?
Huh? She was someone maybe with similar skills.
Is it Leela perhaps?
That's not a story.
I know Leela's not a story. But you have confidence in me on this one, so it's a Leela story that we've done. So you must know that we've seen it, that I've seen it. That's why you have confidence in me. That's like your major clue so far, is you have confidence in me.
Well, it's mostly because there's a lot to work with here. So you could focus on any of those things between the verses and bridging emojis. I'd say it's 3 of the emojis are bridging emojis. And if you sort of can zero in on at least one of those, I think you're going to be okay.
But they're all throwing me. They really are. I mean, with Statue of Liberty is totally throwing me. A meteor heading for the Statue of Liberty, but it's not any of the New York-based stories. It's not Daleks Take Manhattan. You've said it's a Leela thing. It's an Invasion of Time?
No, I didn't say it was Leela thing. You said it was a Leela thing.
Jesus. Okay. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I'll give you a hint. It's classic Who.
Please. Okay.
That's your hint.
That helps. That's really narrows it down to half of all of the possible stories that I've got no idea which it could be. Black and white or color?
Color.
Okay. Still not really narrowing it down. Day of the Daleks?
It is not Day of the Daleks. Okay, so you mentioned the Weeping Angels in the Chase at the beginning. Those are some major villains. There is another major villain that features in this story. Major monster. One of the big ones.
It can't be Cyberman, which would be the robot and the flying saucer. But that's like there's one Cyberman in all of Baker.
Right.
So I guess we're talking 80s. Yes, we're talking ultra modern Who. We're talking you got so much misplaced confidence in me. Revenge of the Cybermen, Attack of the Cybermen.
No.
Oh crap! Earthshock.
No.
Oh man.
Keep going. Closer to the present.
Closer to the present. Bloody Silver Nemesis. I don't know.
Silver Nemesis! That's what it is.
Hell, did you have confidence in me when it was the McCoy era?
I thought you kind of knew about this one. It has a lot of infamous things, including an American, and they talk about a meteor. It has Cybermen in it, and I know the robot face could signal that, and there's only so many classic Who Cybermen stories.
Well, unfortunately, Silver Nemesis is still a victim of my famous rage quitting.
So you've actually never seen it or even really read much about it, right?
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
So then it makes sense that you wouldn't know, because I won't go into who the characters are in the other two parts of the Whomoji, but those are some major characters in the story.
Well, this actually makes me more interested in Silver Nemesis, so thank you.
We'll get there when we get there. All right. I wanted to thank Ineffable on TikTok for submitting this Whomoji. Thank you so much. It's awesome. It goes right into our codex where we put all of our Whomojis, a link in the show notes. And you too can be just like Ineffable. In fact, you can cut to the front of the line in front of people like Ineffable. No offense, Ineffable. But if you submit your Whomoji in the form of a review of the podcast, so you go to the Apple Podcast app, you leave your review, you leave a star rating. I don't know how many stars you want to leave. I'm seeing 5. 5 is like a good number. I don't know, if you like numbers, 5's a good number. And then just leave your Whomoji right there in the text of the review. You can totally do it. That's the best way to get it. You go to the front of the line.
If you're listening to this and you're like, damn, my Whomoji submission idea for Silver Nemesis, it's too late. It's gone. It's gone. Ineffable got that slot. So you, whatever other Whomoji you have in your head, you've got to submit them now. And if you do it in the form of a review, they will definitely live on in the codex after all of us are dust, far in the future of 1992 or whenever the Space Pirates are set. We'll get to that question. But yeah, long after us, the codex will live on. And something else that will live on for many, many days is the next segment, Poll to Open. That's right, pull from the bottom of the screen. If you're watching us on Spotify, hi Spotify, enjoy my Space Camp certificate of completion right there, and enjoy Pete's moustache.
Nice.
Spotify and YouTube.
Hello.
Yeah, that's got all of you downloading a burner Spotify account just so you can see it, hasn't it? Yes, but if you're already on Spotify with your burner account handy, you can rate the show right now. That's right, the millions of you who have come here because you want to get your rating in of the Space Pirates. You can do that right now. What we're going to do now, though, is look at some ratings for a past episode for 3 stories ago for Tooth and Claw. That's right. The last time we were back in New Who era. Please, Randomizer, take us back there. But Tooth and Claw, what did you think of it? And it's a pretty lopsided decision in the poll beam.
It is. It's definitely, there's definitely a clear winner here, a clear majority. And that is for our rating, The Dalek, which is a good episode of Doctor Who. And I fully support this, even though that wasn't my rating, that was your rating. So congratulations, sir, on being the aligned with the most votes. But second place, a distant second place, I'll admit, is Lady Cassandra, which is a episode that looks good, but it's a paper thin plot, and that was my rating. Yeah, so
you're leader of the opposition, but yes, the Dalek, the furry Daleks are in control. The were Daleks. Fully in control of Tooth and Claw Parliament, but we promise
here though was pretty spread out because about a smaller portion of the listeners there was support for Viscount Banger, one of the best of the best, Professor Hater, where it's just they tried something but it wasn't actually that good. A little bit on Ogron, some people didn't like it, and even the Fixed Point in Time. It's even old enough that, of course, going back to the second season of New Who is it's like 20 years ago now. So, or like 19 or something. So it's like, yeah, these are Fixed Point in Times. You got nostalgia for it. Totally get it. I can totally live with this spread.
All right, well, that's good. You can support us by voting, and you can also support us on the socials. We're on TikTok and Blue Sky at Pull to Open. Pull to Open 63 on Instagram, X, and most other places. If you're on YouTube, you can become a true companion, a Jamie McCrimmon, if you will, of the podcast. You can also do so on Spotify at the bottom of the show notes. Donate, your next Whovian cup of coffee and a TARDIS mug to the show if you enjoy our commentary, if you enjoy the fact that we're about to talk about the Space Pirates so that you never have to watch it or track it down or even sorry I'm just saying, if you enjoy that service, if that's a useful service to you, then please kick us a cup of coffee, mate. But yes, it is time.
It's time. We're going to spare people listening, watching the Space Pirates, and this is it. I just want to get into it right now because this is probably the most valuable part of Pull to Open for everyone out there. Will be what we're about to do, and I just want to get through it because, of course, we're talking about TLDW. Too long didn't watch. Too long Doctor Who, and I am not avoiding the inevitable this time. I just want to do it.
Yes.
Just getting your countdown and boom. Let's go.
TLCW, as we should say for missing episodes, too long can't watch.
Right.
So that's why we're going to summarize it for you. But yes, this is the moment where the torturee becomes the torturer. Don't think I'm not going to luxuriate in this. Because we ascribe 30 seconds per Classic Who episode to the TLDW. And we time it. And that means because the Space Pirates is a full 6 episodes, that means that you, sir, have an elegant 3 minutes of ramshackle Space Pirate ship time to summarize this while I go off and put some bread in my solar toaster, sip my solar coffee, and just get to hear what on earth that was that just happened. So
lucky you.
Very, very excited for this. I've been looking forward to it all week. So here we go. Without further ado, I
just want a quick message to the listeners and the viewers on YouTube and Spotify.
Yep.
We're going to get through this, guys. Just grab on. It's going to be okay. Look me in the eye. I need your support. We're going to do it, though. Together, we can get through these 3 minutes. Okay.
That's right. And trust this man, he has a screwdriver.
It's like the Archangel Network. Even though it's in the future when you're seeing this, I'm going to get your support. It's going to be fine. Okay.
That's right. It's very timey-wimey way. All right, let's do it. Okay. The Pull to Open summary of the Space Pirates in 3, 2, 1, go.
The future. And there is a big space fleet. Well, it's maybe not that big, but there's a space fleet, and there are also space pirates, and these pirates are going to these beacons, which are made out of Argonite, and they're the beacons that the government or the fleet has put out there to be there, I guess, to kind of just be these places that are beacons in space. And so the pirates are breaking them up with explosives, but they're not destroying them. They're actually breaking them up into these components that they can then attach rockets to, and then those components go to places where they can then pick them up. But I guess the metal they're made out of is super valuable. So this is happening. And there's this ship that's like, okay, we got to stop this from happening because it's happening. And so they start to try to keep track of these pirates, which are in these sort of almost very sleek ships called darts. And then the TARDIS crew materializes on one of these beacons right when the pirates are about to come. But because the pirates have been doing this, the people on the ship have been going to the beacons, and some of them are on there, and they think the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe are pirates. But just as they're about to capture them, the other real pirates come on board and kill those guys, and then the satellite, the beacon sort of blows up into components, and so the Doctor and everyone are separated from the TARDIS. So there's also this guy who's an old school miner, a prospector guy, who the space fleet guys on this this V ship suspect him as being the pirate. But they let him go because they don't have evidence. But that guy ends up rescuing the Doctor and Jamie and Zoe, and the pirates are also trying to redirect the beacon stuff to where they're hiding, which is actually on the planet Ta, which also happens to be the headquarters of I think it's the Ingrisi Mining Corporation, and that there's this what's actually happened is that the pirates have a deal with the woman, the CEO of this corporation, to sort of steal stuff and then sort of share the profits. And so, but the V-ship guys don't know this, so the space fleet talks to her, and they're trying to sort of coordinate getting the pirates. But because she's telling the pirates like what they're doing, the pirates are always one step ahead. But the guy, going back to the prospector, this guy Clancy, the old school guy, he goes with the Doctor and everyone to the planet Ta, and then basically everything comes together on Ta. It's revealed that the CEO's dad is still there, and he was the original owner of the corporation, and so they end up all getting the pirates, like figuring the pirates and getting the space fleet to come and stop them. But the pirates almost blow up the whole planet with like a nuclear explosion. The Doctor stops at the last minute, and then they blow up the pirate ship with some missiles, and then basically they take the Doctor back to the TARDIS on the other part of the beacon.
You did it with just an extra 5 seconds to spare, which I think is given the amount of padding in the Space Pirates, I think it's only fair to allow you a little bit of padding. Which I'm sure you did as a meta commentary. I mean, you started that so assuredly. I felt like you were almost running from a mental script, and but then like that would be an appropriate statement about the Space Pirates. It's like, no, I'm going to deliberately tack on a little bit of extra padding at the end. But yes, Clancy takes the TARDIS team back to their TARDIS. We don't actually see them getting back to the TARDIS, but we do have the joke where Jamie says, I'd rather walk. Yeah. And the Doctor says he might have to, and everyone goes, ha, 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 freeze frame, thumbs up. Like,
Or I could almost hear I heard sort of the Star Trek sign-off music.
Yes.
Like, dun, 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 that's kind of like what I was thinking as the Liz, that was, I didn't say the name of Clancy's ship, which was the Liz, that goes, sort of off into the distance, at the starless distance. So that's kind of where I would start here with the Space Pirates, because it's like, it's kind of the time. I mean, it's clearly of the time, but it's really trying to latch on to a number of different things. One of them being Star Trek, which was completed its run. But I imagine, given that it's not like there was streaming and immediate distribution. Basically the effect of Star Trek was starting to cascade to things like Doctor Who and whatever. And then, of course, there's the Apollo missions, which were culminating. This was broadcast in the spring of 1969. So all of this was obviously, happening, that the Apollo 11 mission was coming up, and everyone was super excited. So that's, they're doing this. We're going to do a space opera. And there's, that's why I'm wearing my Starfleet Academy shirt. It's very sort of Star Trek inspired. That said, it's only inspired, which is that it's got like nothing that I think makes Star Trek, such as better jokes, more fun, more humor, and like real problem solving, and like characters that are beyond stock that you can actually root for. Actually, none of that, I would say, exists in the Space Pirates. And
right. I mean, could you imagine an episode of Star Trek where it's like the first 15 minutes of the show, like beyond the first ad break, and you're just on the planet that the Enterprise crew is going to encounter? You haven't seen the Enterprise crew at all. Because, of course, famously, the first episode, I believe, of the Space Pirates is the longest period of time that none of the regulars have been on screen.
Right.
Right. So it's
if you don't count Mission to the Unknown, which obviously that was just like a one-off unique thing where they were showing off the Daleks.
Yes.
So I don't think it counts. But yeah, it's like 15 minutes before the Doctor and everyone shows up, which again, bold. I don't even know if New Who has beat that record. I had to sort of think about it. I'm not sure it has. It's bold, but it's also like, if you're going to do it, do something really, really compelling in those first several minutes, right? Because the credits roll, you see Patrick Troughton, and it's like, okay, it's been 50. Where's Patrick Troughton, the guy I tune into to see every week?
Well, so before we start stripping away the layers of perception and get into history and get into the understanding of what this would have been like to watch in 1969. Let's start with what it's like to watch in 2025. Now, I've got to say, a profound emotional reaction that I had to the Space Pirates, to encountering the Space Pirates in its many forms. I listened to the audiobook of the novelization by Terrence Dicks, read by a friend of Pull to Open, Terry Malloy.
There we go.
Yes, that's right. It's written by Terrence Dicks' last novelization. in the paperback series. And Terry Malloy, I don't know if he's narrated any other audiobooks. Anyway, so I listened to that. I read the transcript. And I watched episode 2. I didn't watch any of the reconstructions because turns out I have a life.
I did watch the reconstruction. So that's basically how I did it. So I didn't say this in the pre-show. Mm-hmm. Yes, there have been, like every other missing episode, fan-made reconstructions. Mm-hmm. I find them on Dailymotion. Yep. And they even have episode 2, but I watched episode 2 from other places. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they do a good job, right? Like there's the model work, and I don't know, honestly, if how much is recreated and how much is from the story. But the audio, unfortunately, is not very good, and there are sort of confused talking over each other type sequences here and there, and frankly, a lot of the dialogue is a little stolid, and they're just kind of like almost reading cue cards at times. It is hard to follow if you are watching it. And
they all seem to be doing comedy accents, right? So that makes the crosstalk even harder.
So I watched this with Grace, and she's 12, and she was physically like, we were there on the couch, and she would just kind of like, oh my, like these physical sort of reactions of like, can I just go to sleep or something? Again, it wasn't
great,
throughout.
Grace, if you're listening, you get a medal for every episode of the Space Pirates you sat through.
Yeah, she enjoyed episode 2 because it was, obviously you could see it. Parts of episode 1, it was interesting enough as I was sort of explaining here and there what was going on, as I sort of understood it. She got into it, but then for virtually the rest of it, she was just like, "Oh my god!" And it does come around again in like episode 5 as things are starting to come together. But then I got to tell you, it's like to some, I think that would have been the best episode had I been able to see the actual, like if it was all intact. I think I would have liked episode 5 the best. But then episode 6 completely like loses the plot again, and there's this like the whole final sequence where the Doctor is defusing the bomb, and just oh my god, can we get on with it already? Can we cut to the end? And then they essentially do, but it's interminable. Like you're like, oh, like let me out of here as soon as that final joke is made.
And it really should be an interesting revelation that Madeline Isagree's father is alive and well, and But it stretches credulity so much, even if you have hung on to the plot enough to really understand who Madeline Isagree is. But I got to say, to go back to what my primary emotion was in a 2025 sense, and this is like zoomed all the way out with the full knowledge of Doctor Who fandom. When I look at the Space Pirates now, I'm like, how dare you? How very dare you? Take away budget and time from the war games.
Right.
Like, if you imagine, could you imagine an alternate universe where we got the war games, but like even better, like where Patrick Troughton wasn't quite so exhausted and, he didn't have to be like doing this double duty and just come from Lime Grove. By the way, this was the last show to use the Lime Grove, the infamous Live Grove studio, which was hot and the sprinklers kept going off, and it's just infamous in Doctor Who history. But yeah, it sort of feels like, the Space Pirates is like the middle child that no one wanted between Seeds of Death and the War Games, right?
I think you're more right than you know.
Watch. Mm-hmm.
I think you're more right than you know, in that my reaction to this, as I was sort of digesting it, was like, oh, I get why Patrick Troughton left. Basically that was like, and he famously, because I'd read reports about how he was just exhausted. Like he would, like the schedule was so punishing. Like he had to be there. He was virtually in every scene, of course, and he was, the lead, and it was just, and you could see him like doing the Space Pirates, going like, why am I doing this? Just looking at the script and whatever he's doing, like this is what I have to show for like all the work I'm doing. Like I got to get a new gig. And apparently this is exactly what, after I'd thought this, I'd read something that Michael Troughton wrote. His son.
Yes.
And he says, like, I'll give you the quote. He says, I remember my father arriving at our house after completing a producer's run-through for episode 2 of The Space Pirates. He was angry, but anger born of frustration rather than aggression. I recall him complaining to my mother about how dull and unwatchable The Space Pirates was going to be. He's quoting his father now. This is episode 2, and we're still trapped in that bloody awful spaceship set. I told them people will just turn off. Now, I got to qualify this. At a convention, this is on YouTube too. There is video of Patrick Troughton in one of his last convention appearances in 1987, and he praised the Space Pirates. He said, that's probably one of the best ones. It's a shame it's missing. So clearly he either grew to, I don't know, maybe he was exaggerating earlier on. Maybe he was saying nice things to the fans and maybe making it bigger than it was because it was missing.
I was going to say, at one point in the day was this particular panel? Was it like late in the evening out to a few drinks?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to take him at his word, and maybe he just sort of came to appreciate it a little more. But I think his feeling at the time that his son is quoted here definitely was something I mirrored in me. I was just like, oh my God, this is just so plotting.
There are a number of captures in this, right? And I think we talked about this in the Pertwee era, especially with stuff like Frontier in Space, that they just really stretch it out by having the Doctor and Jo get kidnapped or captured all the time, right? They spend half the story in a jail cell. There's a very similar feel here that Troughton is, and it's interesting to have that reaction from him at the time, because it's also important not to sort of glamorize the Space Pirates. Say, oh well, they really enjoyed this much more at the time. They probably enjoyed it a little bit more, but the viewing figures went down. The audience appreciation scores were like meh. Which, given how new this was, it just really didn't connect in any way, did it?
No, not really. Unfortunate, and it's really unfortunate because I want to say something nice here, and we have to punctuate things here and there. Like, I will give Space Pirates credit and Bob Holmes credit for trying to do something different than your typical alien invasion and monster of the week type of story. He clearly sort of challenged himself to okay, I want to do something interesting, whether it was Star Trek influence or Western influence. I think both are applicable. Obviously, Star Trek was also a wagon train in space. It was also Western inspired. So that's all here. And it's, again, there's not a rubber mask in sight, right? There's no alien stuff at all. And they're trying to do something kind of more human-driven and trying to layer it with pirates and a space fleet and mining and, evil stuff happening, but human evil, right? How despicable Cavan, whatever his name is, the lead bad dude.
Actually, it's Kavan. No, sorry. That's just how his parents pronounce it. No, Kavan, right? This dude. Yeah. Over my shoulder. And if you've been looking at this image, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, you've been looking at this image over my shoulder all the time. You're like, holy crap, that's amazing. Get to that guy. I want that for my next Halloween costume or whatever.
Those helmets slay. I'm going to say that's another nice thing I will say about the Space Pirates. The pirate outfit design is amazing. It's very, very cool.
I mean, this is where the Space Pirates is Star Trek worthy, right? And even better than, because the steampunkiness of that look with all the rivets on it.
Yeah.
I don't see Star Trek at the time doing something like that. But it's so, when you see the spacecraft shots that survive, they're okay, but it's just you just want to pat the BBC on the head and go, oh, you did a lovely job of trying to be 2001: A Space Odyssey, didn't you? Oh, bless.
Yeah, well, it's 69. You got to give them credit, but I will say if they're trying to get across the scale of certain things, it works and it doesn't. The V ship I found a little confusing at first because it's so flat. It's this really flat ship, and you're just oh, it must be if there's a bridge and decks, this must be enormous. And I guess it is, because they have the minnow come out and it comes out, but it also seems just kind of really impractical, to have this really sort of paper thin ship. And there's not too much of. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, talking paper thin, let's get to the characters, but please finish your thought first.
Oh, just that there isn't, and again, my expectations are probably a little too high. That said, Star Trek did exist at the time, so I think it's okay to at least compare it to what the original Star Trek effects were. But there's not a lot of ship to ship,
right?
There's not. Not a lot of like you see the missiles fire, and then there's cutting to the darts and whatever. And again, it's Doctor Who. Obviously, the rushed and the budget isn't what it could be for an American show, but it's clearly an example of like where the reach exceeds the grasp. Right? You're trying to do this space thing, and it's like okay, it's an idea of a space thing, but it's not quite what it is going to be something that ignites the imagination of the viewers.
Yeah. And before trashing his characters, I do want to say, like, I understand Bob Holmes' quandary here. He was kind of left on his own to do this. Like, Terrence Dicks was off doing war games. If only Bob Holmes had known that he could have just relied on this young guy who just joined the team as floor manager, like, right? Some
John
lonely
Nathan
position.
Turner, or John
Mr.
Turner, I guess.
John Turner, as he was being credited at the time, he might have helped. But yeah, I mean, he's trying, and he's been given a bit like we were talking about Graham Williams last week with the Key to Time of like, how it was like not supposed to be too scary, but also like now the BBC had said not supposed to be too funny, or like what's in between. So they said Bob Holmes, like the Crotons was too short. You've got to write. I'd rather you overwrote than underwrote. So that's what he did. He overwrote. He overpadded this, expecting that it would be cut down later. So I get that.
Apparently it was. I think it was originally supposed to be 4 episodes. I was reading, so it also makes sense why it's padded. It's like, oh, it's got to be 6. Okay, I guess I'll have a lot of running around caves and more getting out of doors, and all that sort of thing.
And he was also given the last minute instruction to produce what is essentially, well, I mean, other than the accidental Hartnell ones, the first real, like, deliberate Dr. Light story in Doctor Who history. So he was not working from a template for that, right? He just had, what do you think in drama? Well, you're like, okay, well, you just like, let's really keep our heroes off the screen as much as we can. I mean, yes, he also keeps the pirates off the screen a little bit too much, but that, you can ascribe that to the padding that he's doing deliberately. So I don't fault him. Like, you got it. Not, they can't all be Viscount bangers in terms of scripts. And there are little Holmesian, Bob Holmesian touches in the script that we'll get to. Probably the first mention of Gruyere cheese in all of Doctor Who history.
And the last.
Little jokes, like I'm pretty sure that he named the planet Tar because in certain English dialects that means thank you. And there's a line where it's like, oh, the planet Tar, thank you. I see what you were doing there, Bob Holmes.
I always thought it was like Tar, like
Tar.
See you later.
Yeah. Well, Tar generally means thank you. I guess it's sort of been adjusted as it filtered out into the cosmos. And also he's like, supposed to be given this thing of like, let's see space, let's be all 1969. And he's like, so he's working with like really an impossible Iron Chef list of stuff. Now, that said, it's nice that he does get at one point that Zoe is supposed to be smart, but he also, does he have her making the coffee at one point, or was that just in the novelization?
I think it's just in the novelization. What episode was that?
I think, it's a good question. I don't know. No, it must be just in the novelization. Okay, Terrence Dicks did Zoe dirty then by having her make the coffee at one point. Because
there's the this is on Clancy's ship. Yes. Okay, now I remember this. This is like episode 3. And I think there's probably dialogue. I don't know. I don't remember in the reconstruction.
It's a pot of tea. Yes, there is dialogue.
Well, it's been a show. You got to have tea.
Milo says, you're a very lucky girl. 100,000 things I don't understand, but I don't stand around asking fool questions about them. I do something useful. Why don't you do something useful? Why don't you make us all a pot of tea? He says to this woman who's as smart as the Doctor.
He does do Zoe dirty in this episode. That's like only one example. But there is a scene later when they're in that office of Dom Greasy. Right. I'm probably going to butcher that name again. But
Isagri.
Basically, Isagri. And he, like, the Doctor pulls out a box of candles, and Zoe's like, "What are these?" Yeah. He's like, "What are candles?" And he's like, "Oh, they're just like," he must explain candles to her. And I get she's from the future, but it's also like, come on, like candles, really? Like like we are way beyond candle technology today. Candles are still in widespread use. Like everyone's, and it's also like, even if they weren't, I would know what candles are. Like it's kind of like this whole thing, and Star Trek does this too. And it's one of the worst things about Star Trek, where it's like they'll encounter like a car, and it'll be like, what is this? I don't know. I've never thought, oh, this is from a few centuries ago. Like, you haven't seen pictures? Like, you don't, like, you're from Earth. Like, what are you talking about? How do you not know what a car is? Like, I know what a horse is. I know what a castle is.
It is lazy writing. And also Star Trek provides the best example of how you do it without lazy writing, which is in the voyage home, right? Scotty picks up a mouse. He sees a computer. He picks up a mouse and he says, computer, into the mouse. That's how you do it. He recognizes that it's a computer. It's just the interface is hilariously wrong for obvious, intercentury reasons. But yeah, so Bob Holmes is not really doing the regulars very well. The Doctor doesn't get a lot of great lines, to be honest. There's not really any standouts here.
I think he gets two when he's talking about Zoe and Jamie. So there's like the bit in the Beacon where he's doing his best to figure out how to essentially reverse the polarity of his of the magnetic how all this stuff is magnetized. So apparently one of the things which I didn't get too in the weeds with in the TLDW is that the beacon parts stay together through magnetism. So they're all kind of have these they're all a different pole, and it's sort of teaching kids who are watching like that about magnets and that they're north and south poles and whatever.
Yes, and we do in fact see Patrick Troughton in episode 2 swinging those magnets on pieces of string, which is a lovely touch that the Doctor would just have magnets in his pocket.
But then Zoe's like, "Oh, you might if you get the poles wrong, we're just going to fly out into space." And he goes, "Zoe, don't be such a pessimist."
Yes.
Which is like, I think it's a great line.
A great line, and I think Troughton delivers it kind of pessimistically. Which it's like, he's not necessarily having fun here, right? He's playing the Doctor very seriously in these scenes, while everyone else in the non-regular cast has decided, hey, it's comedy hour. And Clancy's got his comedy accent, which is almost as bad as his comedy facial hair. But while we're on the Doctor and the whole scienciness of it, he says, I've got a screwdriver at one point. Now, is this just that Bob Holmes had not been watching the show and didn't know the existence of the sonic screwdriver? So the sonic screwdriver wasn't often used, that they kind of forgot about it after Fury from the Deep? What's the screwdriver history here?
Well, he did use it. Yeah, it was Fury from the Deep was the first use, and honestly, I forget if there was other uses in season 6 besides the War Games. He brings it back in the War Games.
Yes.
And that's, of course, Terrence Dicks. At this point, is it Sonic, or does he use it? I can't even remember.
No, he just says, well, I've got a screwdriver and I've got a slight knowledge of electromagnetism, which is actually a lovely Doctor pair of lines. It's like,
I mean, presumably it's the Sonic, and maybe he just doesn't, call it a Sonic in that moment. I believe that, this is episode 2, so we do see it. I believe he's holding up an actual screwdriver. Ah, well, okay. Maybe he's got the manual one back as a backup. But I do like the other line, just to get back to the lines that I remember most him saying is when he is talking about getting out of that cell, like basically that study where the feral guy, I don't know why he's feral, it makes no sense, we can get to that, but they're trying to get out, and he's talking about like, oh, we're not going to use like the tuning fork again, which apparently annoyed him because it was so noisy when they got out of the cave prison. And he's like,
that's
no.
the other interesting thing is like in Modern Who, that would be a sonic, that the sonic screwdriver would detect different tones. So it's weird that he uses a tuning fork.
Yeah, I guess he suddenly realized I don't need to carry this screwdriver and this tuning fork if I actually just have
wait a minute.
But he said to Jamie, Jamie, I don't think you appreciate all I do for you. Like, it's just he's really kind of tough on the companions of it here, and I think it's actually kind of fun to see that that sort of tension between the regulars, because again, we're not really seeing anything from the guest cast because they're all
Yeah.
just stock characters reading cue cards effectively.
Right, and they're, as I say, they're really just playing it for comedy. And when they should be, as we know this from Doctor Who Extras, they should just be playing it straight-laced and let the comedy of what they're saying come out. Not least of which, I've only just kind of realized as we're recording this, Pete, Argonite was Bob Holmes talking like a pirate. I mean,
That's pretty good.
Argonite.
Argonite.
That's just actually
Argonite.
that's improved my rating of those space pirates right there. It's just that revelation. Thank goodness we do this podcast.
They've got to bring it back just for another pirate episode, just so people can say it.
Yep.
With that accent. Argonite, like we never hear about it again or since. It's kind of nuts. It's like, this is again, like not that it's the only Doctor Who episode with a nonsensical plot. I mean, of course, a lot of them, and certainly in the early days did.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole idea that the metal that everything's made out of is super duper valuable because it has these sort of unique properties for space stuff. Just kind of like, doesn't really work at all. Like wait a minute, if it's so common that all this space stuff is made of it, how could it be that valuable? And it just seems like there's nothing, it's just far more believable if it were something like a fuel source, or which is often what it is in other episodes, or just some kind of precious thing that doesn't necessarily have a ton of utility. So that sort of already feels wrong. And then there's the whole sort of just the story of like how the pirates are doing this. Like it's kind of hard to follow because wait a minute, they're blowing stuff up. Oh no, wait, you have to figure out, oh, they're not actually blowing it up. They're like separating it. There's an explosion. And then you have to figure out like, oh, wait a minute, then they're also attaching rockets to the parts, and then they're rendezvousing with like, it's just so Byzantine.
Yeah.
You're like, why are they doing it this way? You're just constantly, what? I don't get it. And then even later, they use that as a plot point where they can track where the parts were going, and that's how they figure out they go to Ta. And you're thinking, like, did the pirates not think of this? Like, we're like, why would you not have it go a zigzag or whatever? Like that's kind of stupid that you're just did a beeline for your hideout. Like that's how did you not think that someone would find it, track it, and track you down?
Yeah, Bob Holmes is definitely. You get a sense this is, if not the first draft, then pretty close to the first draft. Like there's not been much revision here on this plot to make it followable. It's definitely being treated as disposable entertainment, and one with lots of model shots that maybe he hopes will distract from the plot problems. Hey,
I got to ask you, what did you think of Madeline's wig?
Oh God!
So this is the CEO of the Isigri Mining Corporation.
Isigri, who is we later discover so dumb that she didn't realize that her dad has been hidden several feet away from her for the last how many years?
Several years. I don't know, but it's years. Yeah, they definitely specify years.
Yeah. But she has can only be described as a fembot wig. It's bad. It's like, and I kind of want to see what that would have looked like in color.
Totally.
Yeah. Right.
You know what it looks like? It looks like, you know how when you have Legos and you have like the hair thing you plunk on the head? Mm-hmm. Like it literally looks like that. Like it literally looks like a giant Lego wig that she has on. Mm-hmm. And I'm just looking at it, I'm looking at it in black and white, and I don't know why I'm imagining it in silver, because it looks silver to me on the screen, and I'm just like, holy cow. I
was imagining it in gold. Well, you've heard it here first. This is the Doctor Who version of the dress. Is it black and is it blue and white, or is it gold and yellow? Oh, and anyway, you know what I'm.
Someone drop a color picture in the comments. I don't care if it's colorized. Use a Nano Banana or whatever to create the colored version of it. I want to see what it's going to look like in both colors.
I mean, at least it's memorable, right? You got to say that about it. And it does look a bit 20s. Like it really does make it look like a 20s sci-fi epic.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I just thought like that's one it's definitely one infamous. It's in terms of piece of design. You're like, oh, Oh,
I think what we're discovering here is that even in the far future of 1992 or whenever it is, the space billionaires of the future, they are still like billionaires today, surrounded by people who won't say no to them. So they end up with like horrendous fashion choices, and I think that's exactly what's happened here. Madeline Isagri has kind of just been surrounded by yes men her entire life, so that's why she does that.
So you mentioned the 1992 date. So we should mention that source of that it comes from. I think there's a screen or a readout or something in episode 2 where that has that date, or at least the numbers. I'll be honest with you, it went by me. I don't know exactly where it is, and I'm like, should I watch episode 2 again to find it? I'm doing a podcast on this, and I'm just like, I can't. I just can't. But when was it? Was it on the V ship or?
That's a great question. Right. I honestly don't know where it was, but I saw it mentioned too, and it's just like this is not the dating controversy that has torn Doctor Who fandom apart. It's fair to say, right? Is it 92? Yeah. Is it 23rd century? Who even knows?
Even if it's what's supposed to be, it's also like, come on, like this is not. I think no one even in the 60s, I'm sure they didn't think they were going to have interplanetary travel by the 90s.
They kind of did, though. I mean, that's the one thing that I remember, like coming along as I did some years after the moon landing. But after they were still landing on the moon when I was born, dating myself here. But that was sort of the expectation throughout the 70s, right? Everything was going to happen by the end of the 20th century.
Yeah, you're probably right in that, like, I could see in the moon landing hype cycle that you would think it was just going to, like, be almost like a hockey stick growth progress.
And the thing is that the 20th century up till that point had kind of been that way, right? Right. I mean, we'd gone from, horse and cart in 1900 to space travel in 1969. There was no reason not to think. It was kind of the equivalent of AI thinking of its day. Like, surely we'll get to AGI by the end of this decade.
Well, we also, we talked about this in one of our very first podcasts with the 10th Planet, because it's obviously set in 1996, this strange future world. And it's, did I say 96 or 86?
86,
yeah. So, it's we had no idea how hard space travel really is.
I mean, we were projecting, and we could have actually landed on Mars in the late 70s if Nixon hadn't switched gears to the space shuttle. Right, and there is actually a wonderful story by Stephen Baxter called Voyage, where man does land on Mars in the beginning of 1980. Because I think the branch point is Kennedy does survive his assassination, and he's just wounded. So Nixon's still president, but he doesn't dare go against Kennedy's wishes. So we end up landing on Mars by 1980. From All Mankind, kind of a similar thing, right? We could have accelerated to the point where, maybe we wouldn't be on planet Tar by 1992, but.
Well, one of the things it does, again, to say something nice, it does well in terms of, and again, this is not the most original thing, but the fact that it's this frontier in space, so to speak, in that it is, right?
That's an idea for a story.
But it's clearly early in Earth's interstellar travels. There is a frontier. There is. New things. They talk about how in the early days of space travel, when Clancy was young, it was literally the Wild West, I guess, and you would just mine stuff and sell stuff, and there were freighters, and there were no real regulations. And then now he's older, and the Space Corps sort of taken over.
There's been a bit of a regulatory clampdown. Which is definitely this story is very sort of Moon is a Harsh Mistress-esque, right? And sort of sci-fi libertarianism, just the onerous regulations of the Space Corps versus Milo Clancy, who doesn't do it by the book, but he's free. He's living free with his bad solar toaster.
Yeah. So to date it, I mean, just to sort of close the loop on it, it's probably 22nd, 23rd century, just a guess. Somewhere it's got to be somewhere. I mean, it has to be in between Zoe's time, because she doesn't recognize the technology and she doesn't know what Argonite is, and frontier in space, which is I pretty explicitly the 25th or 26th century. I forgot, but it's like in sort of the midpoint of between our time and like the 30th century. So it's probably got to be. So 23rd century sounds about right. Right around when like Star Trek, what is supposed to be set to.
Dear Wendy Padbury, if you are listening, and I know you do listen to Pull to Open, of course, why wouldn't you?
Ever since we met her at Long Island Who, hello.
We did indeed, yes. Got our stuff signed, or you got your stuff signed. Wendy Padbury, please come back for a special edition of the Space Pirates where you say, Argonite, what's that? Oh, you mean Argonite, thereby revealing she does know what it is, as being a space Sparty that she is. They all pronounce it like a pirate in Wheel in Space era.
So a couple of quirky things on the Space Pirates. They also had a soprano come in to provide some vocals for some of the eerie sounding sort of space transitions they were doing.
Just like the Ice Warriors, yes.
Yeah, just like the Ice Warriors. And the title cards, for some reason, include quotation marks, and I believe this is the only time they do quotation marks. Is this a nod to Star Trek, which always had its titles in quotation marks after the cold opens? I don't know. Have to ask whoever wrote them.
Yeah, interesting.
That could have been just something like perhaps a floor manager. Probably not the floor manager, but
step forward.
I do feel like there might have been a Star Trek fan, like, hey, we should do the quotes just like they do, and on the Star Trek show. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. If we're doing the sort of adventure in space and time behind the scenes of the Space Pirates, there's got to be a scene where a floor manager, Mr. John Turner, like sees a Hawaiian shirt on someone walking past. He's like, wait a minute, that looks groovy. I'm abandoning my button-down look. This could be the origin of so many things. Indeed. All right. Is it time?
Well, that is perhaps the answer to the question of why there are quotation marks in the titles of the Space Pirates, but there are some other questions that we have to ponder, and those are the 4 questions to Doomsday. First question.
I think the Space Corps found us, yes.
Why did the randomizer take us here anyway?
Because of the curse of pirates. Because I asked it for a Viscount Bagger. Because you asked it for something without screams.
Yeah. I'm going to go with spite.
Yeah. Absolute spite.
Just mad.
But the Jamie Crimmen connection, the Bob Holmes connection to Power of Kroll, the Soprano connection also to the Ice Warriors. Like, there's a remarkable number of connections that you can make between all this, right? It just, randomizer, your weavings are so wonderful. We cannot wait for your next revelation.
Yeah, I suppose we could just fall back on the pirate curse. I will say that, just to remind, I did ask for a story with no screaming, and this almost qualifies. There is a lot of yelling from the regulars at the end of episode 3 when they fall, I guess. They fall down into the pit. It's just a few feet, but they fall into the pit. And they go, there's a lot of that. And that's it. As far as I know, that's the only actual screaming that goes on in this one.
And that doesn't really count. We got to remember the context. The context of your ask was Romana screaming in Power of Kroll, which we both felt was very not Romana-ish. So we wanted no screaming for that reason. Or you wanted no screaming for that reason. I think you got it. I think maybe the randomizer was like, well, I'm just serving up like the only story in Doctor Who without like a single female high-pitched scream or something, somewhere in it.
And remember, we're in space, so no one can hear it.
Hey. Oh, the randomizer making a Bob Holmes-esque joke.
No, that was me. Okay. Yeah. I think that's good enough on the randomizer. We're going to move on to the second question, which is, what if the evil plot had succeeded? This requires us to think about the evil plot, I will admit, which is already so hard.
It's this dude's, right? Yeah.
Kevin. Yeah, he's bad. He's a badass. I will say, again, to say something nice, I like that he's evil. I appreciate his evil, this flavor of evil, this kind of character that just will kill, kidnap, and do things. He's very active in just trying to get his plot done, no matter what. He even goes to the point that he's actually going to blow up the whole planet or the power plant,
Right.
which is cool. So all of that's fine. I
So
would
we
think,
assume he succeeds in blowing up the planet.
well, if you look at what happened, so I didn't get too much into the detail of this, but he kind of gives a time when he's going to flick the switch, because he'll be far enough away, and it's coincidentally noon or whatever the clock hits the hour. So you kind of have to assume then, if he wins, he goes a little faster, he leaves a little earlier, and instead of it happening at noon, he does it at 11:58 or something. And so then the thing blows up and everybody dies, including the Doctor and everyone else. And so the thing is, if that happens, he still has the TARDIS, because he can recover it from the beacon parts, right?
Good point.
So he now has this really powerful thing, assuming he sort of figures out what it is. He can sell it to the highest bidder, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of interest from the Daleks and the Cybermen and others. And so one of those bad guys, and let's go with a Troughton bad guy that we've seen in this era. How about the Ice Warriors?
Ice Warriors.
That get a TARDIS. And so Cavan gets majorly rich, and one of our Doctor Who monsters gets to do the Time War much earlier because of it.
Or Cameron doesn't get fooled realizes that there's more that you can get insanely rich just by taking the TARDIS to different eras.
Well, if he figures it out, he figures out how to use it, I guess.
I can't. Yeah, well, I'm here for this. Screw Pertwee and his Earthbound adventures. Let's posit an alternate universe where there's a spin-off where Cavan is in the time machine. He's wearing this costume, but he's in the TARDIS and is, going through all of time and space. And maybe the TARDIS just gets passed on Dread Pirate Roberts style instead of regeneration style from person to person. And Cavan, Time Pirate, becomes the number one sci-fi story of the 70s and 80s.
There you go. I love it. Okay, I'm going to go out of the normal formula now and propose an alternate question here to the evil plot
question
succeeding.
6B, if it were. Yes.
Which is basically, what if Jamie isn't a complete idiot at the end? Because it's going to flip the evil plot on its head, in that the evil plot the actual evil plot will have been thwarted much earlier if Jamie actually stops Dervish, who he's already clobbered at the end and knocked unconscious, or just briefly, when they recover Madeline, when they rescue Madeline, because they knock him out and nobody watches him. He just leaves. He just gets out and then warns Cavan, and then that starts the whole "we're going to blow up the planet" thing. Is like, dude, if you did your job and either tie the guy up or just watch him, because what else are you doing, Jamie? The story ends a lot earlier. Yeah, you had one job, dude. You had to knock out the bad. You're the muscle. Sometimes it means you got to guard the bad guy. Sorry. So anyway.
Yeah, okay. So, but okay, in my alternate season 6B, by the way, of Cavan still in the TARDIS, it's hard to say that the Time Lords wouldn't eventually be on his trail. But to my mind, that even just makes it more exciting, that show. He doesn't know, but the audience knows. Every week we see a little bit more of the Time Lord hunt on the back of each.
Do you really want to see
Monster
the
of the
Time
Week
Lords hunting every week? I don't know. Those guys in the rope. Have to find someone a little cooler.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And
cool
maybe
Time.
that person is, companion, maybe it is, in fact, someone we have seen, at least in the future. Maybe it's the third question, an answer to it anyway, which is, where is the Clara Splinter? Clara Oswald, of course, splintered in time at the end of The Name of the Doctor. She's somewhere in every single Doctor Who story. Where is she in The Space Pirates?
Well, clearly that this is not one Clara splinter, but 8 Clara splinters, and they're all magnetically attached, and they come together in one large Clara. Who? No, that's as far as I've got. I don't know where she is in this. Is she? I mean, there's not really a point where the Doctor really needs much help for this, because it's just he just has to do the detonator unit.
Yeah. Well, easy stuff would be like she leaves the oxygen tank conveniently where they are. So that might be something. She also just might be the designer of these beacons, where they're all super durable, magnetic, airtight, modular. They all have their own gravity.
Yeah.
You know? And so beyond just leaving a single oxygen tank maybe on one of them, maybe she there's oxygen tanks on all of these things. She's just designed these to be completely self-contained things that you could exist on for maybe hours or days in normal operations when they're split apart. So
you've got to think that she's probably on the space pirate side of things, but just to mess things up. Like, she's an incompetent space pirate. And that's part of the reason why they're off screen so much here, is she's just stopping them from being more effective by being just an utter idiot. Worse, more craven than this guy who's always planting the charges, Dervish.
Oh yeah, Dervish. Yeah, Dervish sucks.
Maybe she's sort of like constantly whispering in Dervish's ear, like, you don't have to do this, like he just keeps using you for, exploding your charges. Because Dervish is like, that's his thing. He's like slowly developing what might be a conscience, but then isn't actually in the end.
But he's too craven to caven.
Hey, he caves into caven because he's craven.
There it is.
Hey.
Yeah, Clara could be. There's a lot. There's actually a lot of things that Clara could be doing on the pirate side. I just don't like doing versions of Clara where she's kind of like on the bad guy side. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If she's just sort of broadly like, undermining their plan, I think that's fine.
She's a Space Corps agent, double agent. She's gone undercover into this. She knows exactly what's going on. She has, of course, discovered that Dom Isagri is next door to Madeline. She's like, why is she so dumb? Is it the hairdo? What's going on there?
Yeah, why is he feral? Like, they find him and he's like, he doesn't even know that they're people almost. He's behaving like an animal. And I get that he's been locked up for years and obviously mistreated, but you're like, well, dude, clearly he's been fed, he's been clothed. I mean, they don't talk about bad smells, so I assume he has a bathroom somewhere in there, right? I don't know why he suddenly doesn't know what people are or doesn't recognize his daughter. It's all just weird. It's just this, again, padding for no reason. They have to sort of talk him down from this before they can bust out of the cell, and you need that time.
I guess maybe Clara's actually his nursemaid or something, just keeping him actually sane. And it's like, you just got to put on a little bit of an act for plot purposes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough
Anyway.
when the Clara question is this dull? It's like, that's not a sign of a great script, right? And we're not like, oh, I want to insert Clara here.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's disengage from the dullness and move on to the last question, but not before I also mention our website. Chris mentioned it earlier. I'm going to mention it again, pultoopen.net. It's a great place to subscribe to our newsletter, or our notes on all of our random episodes. You can get them sent to you. There's always stuff we don't get to in the podcast, so there's fresh content. It's also a great way to be reminded that there is a new podcast. You'll get that right in your inbox, and you can go right to YouTube or Spotify and engage.
That's right. All right. What time is it, Pete?
It is time for the final question, the ultimate question, the only question that matters for the Space Pirates. What did we think of this story? The Pull to Open rating system has 7 ratings. There's the Dalek, which we give to a good episode of Doctor Who. The Ogron, which we give to an irredeemably bad episode of Doctor Who. The Professor Hater, which is a not-so-good episode, but hey, at least they tried something. The Viscount Banger, which we reserve for the best of the best. The Fixed Point in Time, which is a story beyond rating, usually for reasons of nostalgia. The Lady Cassandra, which is a paper-thin plot. But hey, at least it looks good. And The Zarbi, a story that is so bad, it's actually good. what do you say about the space pirates?
Yes. Well, as you can tell from that list of ratings, we do endeavor here on Pull to Open to try, if we can at all, rescue a story from the irredeemably bad rating of Ogron. We do try to do that. And there's no way... frequent listeners also know that I like to do hybrid ratings. There's no way you cannot give the Space Pirates at least a partial Ogron, I think. Right? It's not like they'd learned anything from this. Maybe we learned a little bit about magnetism, I guess. But yeah, so it's not really a Professor Hater. But, and I was very tempted to say, like, this is a whole space fleet full of Ogrons. There's so many Ogrons. They're attacking from all directions. But no, it's not an Ogron-Ogron hybrid. I think that we do have to think about the fact that this was 1969. There was a lot of pressure involved in, like, the BBC had this model unit. They wanted to use that. The pressure of Patrick Troughton needing to leave the show and Bob Holmes needing to write him out. This only being a second script. No one else being awake at the wheel. And also the pressure of, like, he was told to do padding. And I think that this would have been, we don't want to be like, they loved this in 1969, because, of course, the audience the ratings and the appreciation index don't bear that out. However, this was made in the spirit of 1969. This was made in the spirit of Space Odyssey, and you can appreciate the ambition at least, and if not enough to sort of giving it a Professor Hater, which means they tried something, I think this is a fixed Ogron in time.
Okay, interesting take. But yeah,
because like we've done that for missing episodes in the past, right? The very fact it's missing,
well, I
think leans. I have done, but leans. I know. I'm sorry, Marco Polo, but yeah, it does lean it somewhat towards the fixed point in time rating.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear that. I think we want to be understanding of all that. I still need to judge it for what it is, right? And what ends up on screen. And I always sort of try to put myself, at least partly, in sort of the head of a casual viewer also. And, again, what's good for casual might not always be the same for a hardcore fan. But in this case, I think both are going to walk away from this not really enjoying themselves. And therefore, I'm just giving it a full-on Ogron. This is... Sorry, again, Bob Holmes went on to do some amazing things, like really great episodes, some of the best ever of the classic series. But this one is really only notable for, like we've talked about, the padding, the infamous stuff, like the wigs and whatever. It's great that there's pirate helmets and there's some of the stuff survives. But I think Patrick Troughton's instincts were right in the beginning. This is not something that... is first on my list for things that I hope are recovered. I want them all recovered, of course, but like if I had to do a priority list, this would be near the bottom. So, sorry, Space Pirates, you're an Ogron.
At some point in the podcast, I knew that I was going to make the following joke, which is, please, listeners, the Space Pirates is a missing story. So please check around your attics, go look around. And if any of you find the Space Pirates in your attics, just leave them there.
Which is cruel.
Don't even bother returning it. sorry, Space. No, obviously the real fact is do deliver it, because we at least want to see what a lot of this stuff looked like, the model work. Like, do we even have any pictures of Dom Misery? I'm not even sure. Like, he made it to the telesnaps, I think.
No, I think there were. I think there were a little bit.
Much of his character is missing.
Yeah, and the reconstructions, there was some stuff. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I don't think it was AI. All right, folks, it is time. We are going to take the Liz out of here to get into our time ship, and then activate our randomizer, because we can't get away from this story quick enough.
Yes, pausing only to split our time vessel into 8 components. No, we don't. It is proudly one piece. And it has been reassembled for us in front of us, and we didn't even need to walk there. But yes, the randomizer has two components. Peter's sitting at the controls of one of them. That's the codex. That's the complete list of stories in sequential order. And I'm sitting at the controls of the executor, played by random.org, which provides randomness based on the amount of Argonite atoms in the upper atmosphere. A little known fact. No, he uses atmospheric randomness rather than computerized algorithmic randomness, which is rubbish. Not truly random. It's as bad as Bob Holmes' second script at producing randomness. But before I do that, first of all, I do have to ask Pete, what is the magic number?
That is 168.
168. Which, of course, that is another reason why the randomizer took us to a 1969 story. A story that, in fact, the BBC thought represented 1969 in the Doctor Who archives, because we were at the number 169. So I'm guessing the randomizer's going to hit us with a 1968 story. I'm just trying to guess the randomizer's picks now, so that won't do them. But yeah, we do like to issue challenges, requests, pleas, prayers. We like to kowtow before the randomizer and shake our spears at it, crawl style, and say, please, oh mighty God of the randomizer. And what have you got for the randomizer this time, Pete?
Well, I'm going to go zoom out into the real world. That's just to say the real world of Doctor Who, and I'm going to be very specific.
Uh-oh.
I want sea devils.
Oh, right, because we do have a new edit of the Sea Devils. Yes, and that's what you're...
New edit of the Sea Devils, which is going to be broadcast right before, and again, we're recording this on mid-November, so you guys are going to hear it, actually, you're going to hear it pretty soon, right before Thanksgiving. So... The war between the land and the sea is coming to iPlayer and BBC in early December. We've just actually learned this past week. So, and they're going to have that recut of the Sea Devils right before it. So I would love to have everything sync up. Let's either have the Sea Devils. So I said Sea Devils, not necessarily the Sea Devils. So it's either Sea Devils or Warriors of the Deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Would you also take the Silurians? Doctor Who?
Yeah, I mean, the guess. You know, we could do the Silurians or what's the other one? Hungry Earth.
Aren't they going to say in War Between Land and the Sea that they're all one species more than we thought? Or something
we'll have to see.
I guess we'll have to see. Yes, and by the way, place your bets. The prediction markets are going crazy on is the land going to win or is the war going to win? Or the sea? Well, in war, there's only one winner, isn't there, people? War. We know this. We know this from the war games. Now, I'm going to say, I'm going to do the exact reverse of what I did last time, which is randomizer, take us to a really terrible, atrocious Doctor Who story. There's going to be even more of a slog to get through than the Space Pirates. That's what I want. That's genuinely 1,000% what I want. I am standing up like a pirate in the middle of a storm with my arms wide, with my hooks wide, and I'm saying, come on, is that the worst you can do? You're going to have to kill us.
I love it. Alrighty.
All right. Give me the countdown.
Let's do it.
Yes. 4. By the way, I decided... I think we should do a new thing. We should bring in our brand here, and when you tell me to operate the randomizer controls, I think you should say pull.
Oh, okay. So at the end of the countdown.
Yes, pull, and then it's like I pull to open the new story, and then there's a reason for our name.
How have we not thought of this till now?
Right? We live and learn.
In 3, 2, 1, pull.
86.
86, okay.
86. Score on the door is 86.
I think we're new. We are. Okay, we are at Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. The two-parter from Series 3. Yeah.
My goodness. Well, definitely not the worst.
Ten and Martha.
Yeah.
Yep, this is early in that season, and this will be interesting. I remember eons ago I asked for more Dalek episodes from New Who because we hadn't done that many. And I think that still applies. So, maybe it's responding to me from this is probably like from over a year ago now. But
maybe it heard your request for Sea Devils and was like, I'm going to give you the exact opposite. How about land pigs?
I love it. Makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, we're looking forward to that, doing some fun stuff and visiting a time period where Andrew Garfield also is around. Folks, this has been Pull to Open. It is a podcast. Podcasts are great things to subscribe to follow. But the absolute best thing you can do to help support the show beyond just reviewing it is sharing it with a friend. Thank you, Martin West, for your music. As always, it is always making us sound a little bit more professional. And yeah, thrilled to revisit New York City, which I live nearby.
That's right.
To find out what the Daleks are doing there.
And of course, the randomizer listened to the Whomoji challenge because in this, I don't know if you remember Daleks in Manhattan, Pete, but the Doctor and Martha land on Liberty Island.
Oh, that's right. Statue of Liberty. There we go.
The Statue of Liberty, which I've just been reading about, and we'll read about some more. We'll come back next time for how that ties in, but we'll talk all about it on the next Pull to Open.
All right. See you then, folks.